Hi Elim Hope Kids, I'm Carly and I'm going to read the story for you today called Jesus and the 12 Dudes Who Did, written by Mindy MacDonald. Okay. A long time ago, Jesus called 12 guys who were all different in goodness and size. They were called disciples and they followed Jesus closely. They gave up their jobs. They were fishermen mostly. Fishers of men. Jesus saw Andrew and his brother fishing, and he called to them, "Follow me." That's written in Matthew in the Bible. Here's Andrew. Andrew was the first to hear Jesus' call. He spent his life sharing Jesus with all. Loving like Jesus, Jesus showed his disciples love by washing their feet. John followed this example of love by serving. Here's John here. John was the youngest and very full of love. He loved to talk to Jesus and God above. A boy's lunch. Jesus fed about 5,000 people with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. Philip was the one who stopped to think, how can Jesus give 5,000 people food and drink? A true follower, Jesus healed 2 blind men on the road. Bartholomew followed and watched as Jesus performed many miracles like this. Here's Bartholomew, you see? Old Bart was honest and true. Jesus loves you. Jesus loves a pure heart, Bart would say to you. Silent serving. James travelled with Jesus as he went throughout Galilee, teaching in the synagogues and churches. This is James. James was very quiet, with not a lot to say, but he served Jesus well and he lives with him today. A little donkey. 2 disciples brought Jesus a donkey to ride on into Jerusalem. Thaddeus did what Jesus said without quitting, always helping people. You never saw him sitting. No doubt about it. Thomas would not believe that Jesus rose from the dead until he could see Jesus again for himself. This is Thomas here. Thomas didn't always believe what Jesus said. Faith was in his heart, but doubt was in his head. Listening closely. The crowd that gathered around Jesus was so large that he got into a boat on a lake, while all the people were along the shore at the water's edge. Simon was excited about Jesus' teaching. He would sit and listen, then go out preaching. Jesus is taken. Judas led the crowd to Jesus to have him arrested. This is Judas. Judas was a man who went his own way. He didn't stay with Jesus, even on the last day. A miracle. Jesus called Peter to walk to him on the water. But Peter became afraid and began to sink. Jesus caught him again. Peter talked a lot about many things. What's right and wrong and the joy that Jesus brings. All for God. Jesus saw Matthew in his tax collecting booth. When Jesus told him to follow, Matthew left all of his money and things behind and followed. Matthew loved money and always wanted more until he met Jesus. Then he left it for the poor. There's Matthew. Ooh. One more. A little girl lives. Jesus brought a little girl back to life. All who were watching rejoiced. James. James was little, but he gave his very best. Being a disciple was one exciting test. It says in Matthew 28, verse 19, "Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations." A disciple, do you know what a disciple is? A disciple is someone who learns something from a teacher, then helps other people to learn it too. You can be a disciple by learning the things Jesus taught, like love, forgiveness, and trusting God, then loving and serving others the way Jesus did. Thank you. Bye.